Well, I've been saying it for a while now, but finally I have some actual statistical evidence to prove, to back up, to represent my claims. In the most recent YouGov poll, there was apparently they have a lot of different subcategories that people will be in. One of the questions that they asked was, former Trump voters who are now switching over to a Democrat in 2020. And as I've been saying for a while now, there are only three candidates that can actually win in 2020: Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, and Bernie Sanders. And this poll right here tends to agree with me. Keeping in mind that in addition to that, the only candidates that are appealing to minorities with any significant following are also Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, and Julian Castro. I'll give it to him. Becomes very apparent who our choices are, because if you think that Joe Biden can win in 2020, I'm sorry, you are delusional. Truly, there are three people who I think can win over enough of the country to win in 2020. Sorry, Castro. You seem like a pretty cool dude, but you were also handpicked by Citigroup to be part of Obama's cabinet, so personally, I won't vote for you. And I think a lot of Americans won't vote for you for one reason or another, so let's check this out here. When you get right down to it, like I said, there are just those three. Vote for anyone else and you're voting for Donald Trump. And if you want Donald Trump, that's fine. Personally, I would rather have a thriving future humanity that can do a whole lot better, that can address our major climate issues and can keep the ball rolling on getting kid herders put in prison properly. Because anyone who's going to reunify the press is not going to we just can't have that, quite frankly. Like, there are, I saw a really great meme earlier today, real trolly one. It said, Jet Fuelstein can't commelt steelicide. And I lost it. I mean, that might sound like gibberish to you. Jet Fuelstein can't commelt steelicide, but I mean, ah, as someone who likes to do research into deep conspiratorial topics, that is just too good. I mean, for those who aren't familiar, it combines a certain stock trader uh, who definitely killed himself in his prison cell with a certain American tragedy that sparked off, well, basically World War III, although we call it bringing peace to the Middle East. And ironically, both of these events happened in New York City. But this little trolley meme that really got me tickled pink for its sort of macabre humor sparked me to create this one here that I think really sums up Tulsi's assertive Aloha platform. And so my little meme, it went through a couple different iterations. One was way too wordy. One got it really nice bare bones, but then I decided I wanted to add one little quippy bit back in because I thought it was pretty relevant and pertinent. But bottom line, I really appreciate this because it really sums up the three candidates that can actually win 2020 and where their sort of um, shortcomings lie. And just to be perfectly legitimate and fair, I guess I will critique my own candidate a little bit too, because the meme didn't. The one thing I will say for sure about Tulsi is the no jobs guarantee thing. I don't understand why we can't have both UBI and jobs guarantee. It's a small thing, but at the same time, you know what? It is pretty pertinent, and it's important to criticize our own candidates so that we can get better candidates. And because Tulsi is a responsive type of politician, I know that she probably will shape up on this policy, and that's pretty cool. beyond that, some people have issue with her BDS thing, but quite frankly, as people who have been in Palestine and talked with Palestinians pointed out, those sort of sanctions tend to make the situation worse on the ground for Palestinians. So her position on that issue, she's not saying that, she's always 100% for, Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, freedom of people are certainly allowed to boycott. She's saying that we shouldn't sanction as a country because that's basically an act of war. It's what Britain used to do to control their empire for a very long time. You'd cut off people's trade and then you'd say, all right, are you ready to submit yet? If not, we'll come invade you because you don't have enough goods to stop us. Great. So, that's very consistent. To take away from this graphic is we need to make sure that our press and that our regime change efforts are properly handled. And when I say properly handled, I don't mean we make a media policy that suggests that we should use algorithms to make sure that conspiracy theory and wrong speak don't spread throughout our social media and whatnot. We're not going to make I don't understand how Yang has now had 3 media policies. Okay, I really do understand, but Yang has now had 3 media policies in a row that call for a board nominated by industry and the tech companies to get Americans agreeing on facts again and reunify the press. When the tech companies already censor us, giving them a board that just checks them off and says, oh, they're doing a great job, America, don't worry, the truth's getting out. I'm sorry, but when the press unifies, it unifies around ideas like 3 bullets caused 5 holes in our president. It certainly doesn't expose people like Fuelstein the spider. So that's a major issue with that particular candidate. Bernie's war record would be my main issue with him. He's the one that brought the F-35s to Vermont, and he only really voted or was vocal against war during the Bush presidency when it was fashionable to be so. His votes haven't ever he voted for Afghanistan, he voted for Iraq 1, he voted for bombing in Gaza and Kosovo. He voted for covert operations in Syria that led to our current conflict. He said in 2017 that Palestinians don't deserve equal rights unless we create a 2-state solution, because if we have to have a 1-state solution, God forbid, and we give the Palestinians equal rights, it will be the end of Israel, and Israel has a right to exist. Yes, I agree, Israel does have a right to exist, but suggesting that other human beings don't deserve equal rights because your country has a right to exist, there's some cognitive dissonance there. That's an apartheid state that we need to address more maturely, Byrne, and I understand how that might be difficult to, take a critical eye and, critique unity type situation. That can be very hard to do when your entire unity all believes a certain thing. But the fact of the matter is, all people deserve rights. Suggesting that some people don't deserve equal rights unless we have a certain solution is kind of unacceptable. On top of that, Byrne has never really gone against our Israeli interests or our military-industrial interests, except, again, during the Bush presidency when it was fashionable to do so. And he talks about, transitioning Maduro and how Sisi's such a tyrant in Egypt and how we need to look at Russian meddling and not our own meddling in our own country. So I mean, he hasn't even really talked about no more war this election cycle. You would like to hear that. Yang signed a pledge to end war, but doesn't really talk about it either. You would like to hear it. You'd like to hear their plan, their understanding of, the fun and games that our intelligence agencies like to play. But you don't hear those things. So, I have to assume that at the very least, they don't believe in informing Americans about the real major issues in our world. And they either think that our economy can keep chugging along with this war machine taking all that it does, or maybe even that our economy requires our war machine to keep going because there's just so much money in it. And if it goes somewhere else, well, what's America gonna run on if not arms money, right? I'll leave the rest to you, but thanks for tuning in, dudes. I love y'all. I really appreciate the support, whoever y'all are, and thanks for gabbing with me, America. Aloha. Don't let them skeptical Skeksis steal your essence, my dudes.